As ministry leads and pastors, we know that without a doubt, we live and die by our volunteers and the teams that work alongside us. So how do we as leaders bring out the absolute best in them to benefit our ministry, our students, the parents, the families of the church, and the teams themselves? That's what we're going to talk about today on the Ministry Coach Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Ministry Coach Podcast, the world's greatest podcast on the internet today.
And I make the world's best cup of coffee. Congratulations!
Congratulations!
You did it! World's best cup of coffee and world's best podcast.
Yes.
Don't you forget
My
it.
name is Jeff Lascola. This is my very kooky wife.
Oh, Kristen, the zany Lascola.
So, I was actually reading the other day on the internet.
I didn't know you could read.
You learn something new every day. No, it was read
this quarantine.
to me.
I feel so close to you.
So it was actually, well, it was from back in January, but I just stumbled across it. But it was some of the worst social media faux pas that you're supposed to leave in 2019.
Oh, wow.
Or earlier for
it's
for
a
that
new
matter.
season.
Yeah,
of
so
trends.
we're a few months past when this is supposed to actually be said, but some of these things, I feel like I'm looking through them, and I won't go through all of them, but I don't think I've done most of these, but I think
Of course not.
I'll skip over the ones that I've done. I have a feeling you may be guilty of some of these.
Doubt it.
So I'm going to go through a few, and you can just tell me.
Okay. Social media faux pas. Now,
Actually, well, do you want to try and guess a few, or do you want me to read some of them?
no, because then I'll sound like a jerk right off the bat. I'd rather warm up to my jerkiness.
Okay. Well, let's go right in. This is not my list, but this is a list that I did find. So number one.
Wait, is this for any platform? It doesn't matter, like Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah, I mean
Twitter.
It's based
YouTube.
off of pictures.
Okay.
So any of the social media sites. I
Okay,
guess
maybe
it's all
we
of them.
could vote on them. Do we agree or disagree?
Okay. Circle of feet. A bunch of friends get together. They take that one picture.
I think it's cute for junior hires. I don't think it needs to be done past 8th grade.
Well, yeah, and probably cute for 2010.
Yeah, I was going to say I would date that back to MySpace for sure.
There's actually a lot of them on here that have to do with feet. Feet at any unique flooring. I've seen a lot of those, like a lot of like Disneyland or things like.
Really?
Yeah, if there's something on the ground that's like a chalk art or things like that, people always take a
Like
picture
they
of
have to
their
get
feet.
their feet in the picture.
Right.
Like
with that
I was
with
here.
the unique flooring. Or
I
if
could
it was,
see like if you really like your shoes and you want people like it's like a shoe selfie. Like here's an excuse
Yeah.
for me to show you my shoes
A
because
foot
they're
selfie.
super cute.
Or if people get new flooring or things like that. But I just think, why wouldn't you take a picture of just the flooring? Why do your feet need to be in it?
Like I said, maybe they like their shoes.
Take a picture of your shoes then. Feet at the beach or the hot dog legs.
Hot dog legs.
You've never heard of hot dog legs?
What?
Girls are totally guilty of this. I hope it's only girls because it would be guys, it would be horrible. Where you're taking a pic, like there's the ocean in front of you. You're lounging at the beach, and so you're kind of like leaning back, and you take the picture where you see both legs, and then the ocean like behind it,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it looks
yeah.
like two hot dogs instead of legs most of the time.
Do they know? Like, is that the joke? Like, look at my hot dog legs.
I think that's just become what it has
On
become.
the article, is it called hot dog legs?
No, I called them hot dog legs.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't coin that. I'm not the only one who's ever said that.
So don't sue us for copyright infringement. Okay, yeah, I've seen plenty of those. They're
Right.
just sort of like, it's like
Here
white
I
noise.
am at the beach.
Yeah, it's like boring.
Let's see. Duck lips. I've never done that. There's no way.
We don't even have to address that.
Right.
Everybody knows.
The one raised eyebrow selfie.
Here's
think-
my thing. If it is any selfie in any way, shape, or form,
Yeah.
I'm against it because I would like to provide any of my followers with a selfie-free guarantee. I just don't see...
Ooh, I'm going to go back into your history and see if I find one.
Go as far back as you want. You will not find
No
one.
deleting allowed.
I just can't. I can't get into it. I
Okay,
don't know.
well, here's one. I know you're guilty of this. your food. Taking a picture of your food.
Okay. I only posted
Guilty.
on my story, not on my wall.
That's just as bad.
And yeah, I do sometimes, especially if it's a recipe that I invented that I'm very proud of because, and you see me taking pictures of my food all the time. I don't post all of those. I do that for me. I take a picture of it because I want to remember, ooh, I really liked this. I'm going to make it again or write down the recipe because I make up all my own recipes.
Yeah, you do make up a lot.
Okay.
And they're good. She's a really good cook.
I am.
But yeah,
if you like vegan food.
Oh, coffee with the heart or the design and the creamer. Like, that's so played.
So played, for sure.
Screenshot of a text of a conversation. I don't know if I've ever done that.
I've done that only if it's hilarious.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like that's still worth...
Well, yeah, that's like a living meme. I don't understand why that has to be thrown out with 2019.
Yeah, this list, maybe not all of them are good. Over-filtered sunset, I guarantee I've done that. And I think the reason why is because sometimes when you look at it in real life, you're like, that looks amazing.
And then it doesn't do it justice.
Yeah, you're like, I need to add a little filter.
Like my face. The camera doesn't do it justice. It needs a lot of filters.
Hashtag yes filter. So let's see what else. That's kind of the most of them. We can do another version, which is the Christian version of this. Oh wait, sorry. Here's one: the plane window or the wing of a plane. I've done that.
Oh yeah.
And I only did that because
that's pretty classic.
Well, I guess if you're making a reason for it, then
that doesn't annoy me. It's just played. Right. That's not like, I wouldn't say that's like, oh, the etiquette of that is just
I think that's the point of the list is also, it's nothing new. It's nothing original.
Right. Like, come up with something else.
Right.
Yeah. So, well, that's good. I feel like, well, then how come it just should have its category of like selfies in general?
Yeah.
I say there's a couple instances where selfies make sense to me when something super cool is behind you and you're by yourself. Like maybe you're traveling and there's a monument or like a monkey eating a piece of birthday cake. I would say if you have to be in the picture, then fine. If there's something, but just your face with like song lyrics.
Yeah. Oh, that one was on there. I forgot to say that. That was that. Well, I was going to do that for the Christian version of that, but the looking pensive off in the distance with a quote that has nothing to do with anything you're doing. It'll
be interesting to see, well, then what are the trends of 2020? Yeah. What will we be sitting here next year saying?
Probably the face mask. The face mask selfie.
That's true. That's not played yet. I still enjoy those. Those are fun.
So, all right. Well, let's get into our actual topic today, which is what?
Yeah, we're going to do an episode today on if you're a youth pastor or ministry lead or something like that, we are like, our superpower is buried in our volunteer team or in our paid staff. Maybe you're lucky enough to have both. Maybe you only have a volunteer team. Fine. Either way, we live and die by those people. And so as ministry leads and as pastors, we can't afford to be flippant or negligent or unintentional with what we do with those people, because I see that as completely the life source of our ministry. But for that life source to be healthy, we are the life source of that life source, if that makes sense. So what we constantly pour into that team affects the quality and therefore the results. And I think a lot of leaders do a great job with this. But I think just putting it on in your mind can make you more intentional and more strategic, not just like letting the chips fall where they may, but being intentional about how you pour into those teams. Because how many kids can you minister to? Like realistically, I don't know, 8, 9, 10. No, you can probably do like 30. Beyond that, I mean, and that's stretching it. Like, so you're developing people who are you're duplicating yourself in them, basically. So we're going to talk about, and I'll share some tips for, is it a volunteer team? Is it a paid staff? Because there might be some like subtle
differences in there.
Yeah. And then there'll be some things that would apply to to both, and that it would be more of a blanket kind of philosophy there. But so here's the thing. So we're going to talk about 5 ways to get the best performance from your team, whether that's volunteers or paid. So number 1, treat volunteers as if they're paid staff, and treat paid staff as if they're future pastors. So treating your volunteers, let's start there. Treating your volunteers as paid staff. What does that mean? What that means is there's a lot of roles and things that we have our paid staff do that can very easily, we can create options for our volunteers. And in youth ministry, these are very simple to invite people into the process. And it's usually the younger leaders that want to be in this process, and the ones that don't have families or maybe are single and, have free time to want to do things. But the things that my leaders get so much joy out of are things like being in our videos. It's not just me and my staff, and then we'll show you guys what we did, but it's like, I'll send out an email. Hey, we're filming this awesome video. Who wants to be in it? Bring a cool costume. And I have a group of 6 or 7 that I get immediate responses. They're like, yeah. And then they ask me, can we do this more? And then they love seeing themselves. And it's so fun and so funny, but that's something that they can easily do. I've had volunteers speak before, and finding opportunities for them to do that, whether you give them a specific, you do a series, like when my 8th graders are going up to high school, we do a series, What I Wish I Knew in High School, and I give the volunteers the opportunity to do that. So
that's a good one.
They share a little bit of their testimony of, hey, this is what I struggled with in high school. Here's what you can learn from that. That's a really, really softball kind of topic to give them that they usually knock it out of the park. Anytime you can get them to share their testimony and you walking through that with them, sometimes people get hesitant because they think we just let anyone preach and we have no control and we don't guard the gate on that. And that's definitely not what we're saying. You're a part of that process, the entire way. You can have leaders lead games. A lot of my volunteers, we have these I'm sure you guys have some complex games that take a lot of people and moving parts. And, we have our pre-game meeting where I say, okay, I need 4 leaders by the door that are going to hit kids with socks. And then I need 4 leaders over here that are going to hit kids with dodgeballs. And then I need someone keeping score and someone guarding the points and someone, and they really enjoy having a leadership role within the games, and they're very good at it. And then recently what I've been doing, and this has been just amazing, is having leaders, my volunteer leaders, MC parts of the night. So they'll be up on stage leading a game. They'll be up on stage giving announcements, or just, finding any excuse to throw them up on stage. And the people who say yes to that are usually the people that are just naturally good at it. But, I didn't know that in the beginning. In the beginning, I think I was on stage way too much. And then it was my intern, my first intern ever was Bryant. And I would be okay, you lead this, and then I lead that, and then you lead this. And then it was just the Kristen and Bryant show, when it was whoa, you were one of my volunteers. You would have been fantastic. Give Jeff a game, give Jeff, something. You led worship for us, so that was cool. But I just think I didn't even see them as a resource. And then treating your paid staff as future pastors. And the whole thinking here is, when your current staff leaves your ministry, when they move on to something else, the mindset you want to have is, will they be equipped and will they be better because they worked with me, And so I tell my paid staff a lot in our meetings, I say, hey guys, wherever you go next, I don't know, are you going to be a future pastor, or are you going to go into a different leadership role? Are you going to leave ministry altogether? I don't know what you're going to do, but I know that I want you to be better because you worked with me. And so I say future pastor, but you could just kind of insert in there future leader, but you treat people that work with you as though you are preparing them for that next stage. So what that means is you give them, I always tell so Caitlin is kind of my right hand right now. And I always tell her, everything I know how to do, you need to know how to do. And I think there's this mistake a lot of times too that, and maybe we've talked about this before, I can't remember, but getting people addicted to the sugar of ministry instead of balancing that with the salt of ministry. So meaning like the sugar of ministry is when you think of like being a youth pastor, I want to be in a funny video. I want to lead this. I want to go to camp and blah, blah, blah. And then the salt of it is like, but this is the hard stuff, budgeting, doing attendance, you know, having hard conversations with students and parents, conflict resolution, doing all those like yucky leadership.
But the things that keep the whole program running.
Right.
That's like when people come up to you and say, this is really great that you do this. What's your real job?
Where do you work? You know?
Because you're only here on Tuesday nights and you're only here on Sundays.
And I just like show up and I'm like, what do you guys feel like doing? Mm-hmm.
Throw a dodgeball and say a few words.
Turn on the lights. Bada bing, bada boom.
But yeah, there's a big process that goes through it.
Yeah, and I think my mindset is always, I want you to know everything and I don't want to save you from, and that was another mistake I made in the beginning. I would try to save them from the not fun parts. So I'd be like, oh, I'll do that. You guys go out and make a crazy video and plan a super fun game and, you know, get on the roof and throw things off and film it. And I'll be down here doing attendance and money and, you know, phone calls and stuff. And then it hit me. I was like, no, like they're not getting a realistic training. And when I send them off, like my fear was always like that I would send them off to someone that worked at North Coast, like in a different ministry or department. And that person would be like, what the heck did Kristen teach you?
That whole time?
How do you not even know how to use our database? How do you not even know how to print labels? How do you not even know, you know, so treating them as future pastors means you are saying, this is my job, therefore this is your job. And you're going to learn how to do that. So I think we just need to always be looking at maximizing people to their fullest potential. So
and just to stop for a second, I liked how you said it was the sugar and the salt and it has to be a combination, because if you only gave them the sugar, it would be a false sense of this is what this job is.
Exactly.
I'm up on stage, I'm a clown, I'm funny, and you know, and this is awesome. And all of a sudden they get in the real world of being, you know, in a pastoral role or a leadership role, and they're like, what's all this other stuff that I have to do? This is lame.
Right. How does this phone work? Hello, dial 9 to get out.
And the other way would be if you only gave them the salt, just the task, they're going to burn out and be like, I'm a slave and this is not fun at all.
And they're going to have no like creative, like injection into their like, you know, their creative injection.
Okay. Go with it.
You know what I mean. Yeah. And here is a sad youth pastor development trait would be they are like, I can teach and I'm relational and everybody likes me. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, can you plan an event? Can you communicate with parents? Do you know how to get information out in the most efficient way? Do you know how to talk to a parent who is beside themselves? And you know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of you, and people always say, oh, I'm just not good at administrative stuff. Okay, well, it's like not brain surgery, so you could learn it,
right.
You know?
It's a skill, you know, you just learn it like
it's not
anything
fun,
else.
But you have to be well-rounded, and so does your staff. So number 2 of the 5 ways to get the best performance from your team would be you need to see them as people first, employees or staff second. Mm-hmm. And the whole thinking here is that I believe so hard in productivity because I'm a 3 and there's nothing.
3 in regards to Enneagram.
Oh,
for
sorry.
Those you don't know.
Yes. That went out with 2019. Nobody knows Enneagram anymore. Yeah. So I'm a 3. That's the achiever. And there's nothing that thrills me more than like, let's knock this out. Like, I want to get tasks done. I want to maximize my time, get as much done as I possibly can in the time given. And so, but here's what I've kind of learned is that productivity is important, but actually productivity can be a natural byproduct of good relational practices over time. And that was another thing that I didn't understand in the beginning. I was just kind of like, yeah. Hi, how's your day? All right, like we got to get into this stuff.
Right.
And
no time to lose.
Right. And that is just not realistic, especially in a ministry setting where we're all about relationships. So, the people that are on your team, like their primary function in life is not a resource for you, and I think that's a mistake leaders make a lot of times is they start getting snappy and they start getting short and they start getting stressed and they want to like keep moving the ball down the court, and you can just, the impatience in their spirit is just palatable and everything's an interruption, and they just, I'm like talking about myself, but I think what we miss is that the people that work with us, and I'm very intentionally saying with us instead of for us, their primary function is not to be a resource for you. And people pick up very quickly when you see them as a machine rather like or a means to an end rather than a person. And then when we start to treat them as people first, like I said, I feel like the rhythm of the team just kind of starts going and productivity becomes like this natural byproduct of that beautiful chemistry that you guys have. And to the point where eventually it kind of doesn't even feel like work anymore. Like when I have a new staff member join the team, like there's a lot of training that needs to be done. It's like, I got to teach you how to use every program. And this is how we set up stuff. And this is how we take down stuff. And this is where this goes. And this is how the protocol for this or whatever it might be. There's a lot of training, but none of that sticks, I feel like, unless we're like one of my newest staff members, he's like, I just haven't been out to ice cream in a really long time. I just want ice cream so bad. I feel like I don't have anyone to go with because all my friends are at work and da. I said, okay, next Tuesday when you come in, instead of like getting to work, let's just go have ice cream. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I could get you ice cream. So
I got the hookup.
I know people. Okay. Yeah. And so we like went and got ice cream and like, it was just so fun. And then like when it was time to go back to work, and this wasn't, don't get me wrong, this wasn't like, I'll feed him ice cream and then he'll do whatever I say. It wasn't like, I'll get him, but it was like, let's have a blast. Let's have fun. Let's chill and relax and laugh. And then we went back to work and it was like a breeze, it was just like, we're getting stuff done and it's easy because we were friends. He was a person before.
Still is a person.
Before he was someone who worked for me. So just be careful of that mindset. Don't cut people off. A lot of times people want to talk to you. Let them, ask them questions. I always say, if you don't know what's happened, and this is a generous statement, in the last 30 days of their lives, you have some catch up to do. I think if you think of your entire volunteer team or all your direct reports, and if you can't tell me one thing about their personal life from the last 30 days, there might need to be a priority shift a little bit. And they, trust me, are probably picking up on the fact that you're seeing them more of a means to an end. And why does all that matter? Because now loyalty is going to be a lot harder to build in that person. Chemistry on your team and loyalty to you, because what I've learned also is people aren't really loyal to a place. They're loyal to a person. So, they might love your church, they might love your, ministry, but if you want to kind of slow that revolving door of leaders, I think they need to see themselves as loyal to you, not just to the ministry. And how do you gain that? Well, you treat them as a friend, as a person,
And that doesn't mean, when you say personal, get to know each other and things like that, don't be the person that says, here's everything about me, and now let's move on. Oh, we chit-chatted. We talked about our lives.
Hashtag ew?
I guess.
Is that 2019?
Yeah, at least.
Okay.
But yeah, don't, it's you're looking to find out about them. They might ask you about yourself, but don't be the one who says, let's get to know each other. Here's all about me. All right, now it's done. Moving on.
Right.
Because that's such a pet peeve when people do that. And it's like, you're the leader. You have the floor. You talked all about yourself. And then you said, okay, well, now that we're done with the chit chat, we're going to move forward.
And also the conversation doesn't have to be like, so young grasshopper, what, let me mentor you right now. It could just be like totally normal conversation.
Right.
Like, I don't think we need to over leaderize it and
Yeah.
like become that person who's like, oh, they're always trying to teach me a lesson. You know what I mean? It's like, no, like,
or a checklist thing too. That's also a big one. How was your day? Anything new? Okay, great. How's your family?
Give me a
Bye.
high five.
I don't know what that is.
Champ.
But those checklists where it's like, this is not genuine.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can tell because how's your day going? Horrible. My dog just died. Okay, cool. So here's what I need you to do. You're like, I don't think you heard what I just said. You checked that box because you asked that question.
Yeah. And people pick up on that too. I think we forget, sometimes like we're pretty transparent, whether we realize it or not. So, we're going to have to be authentic in that. And we preach it all day. Ministry's relationship until we're ready to get something done. And then it's like,
Easy.
All right. So number 3 is be their number one fan. And I think they should know and have no doubt how you feel about them. And this comes through the method of just like lavishing encouragement on them, which maybe is an obvious thing. It's like, yeah, encourage people, of course, but this doesn't come naturally to all leaders, especially. Leaders come in all different brands of relational etiquette or relational comfortability. And for some, encouragement is just not their thing. And I feel like kind of the soul of your leaders die a little bit if they don't know how you feel about them, if they don't know that you are a fan, that you are a cheerleader, and that comes through you, like with your words specifically to them, encouraging them. Here's when encouragement doesn't work, is when it's blanket generalities, meaning I think some leaders check it off their list when they say, you guys are doing such a great job. I'm so blessed to have you guys. You guys rock. Those are all just very vague, like...
It's like when you describe someone as being, how are they? They're nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's 99% of the
tell
population.
us a lot.
So
yeah.
Actually, maybe not that high, but yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't do a whole lot for their spirit just to be like, you guys as a whole are doing a great job. So what that takes is specific conversations with them where you notice things about them like, hey, man, you've been here for only 6 months, but I see the way that you were like hanging out with those kids. They like loved you. You're so fun and funny with them. And, or, noticing, especially after they've had a hard night, like in their small group, like if they had discipline issues or whatever, like they need your encouragement then even more, not like you to teach them, let me give you some tips on leading a small group, but more just like, guy, like, you must be exhausted. Like if you ever want me to come in and just give you a break, I'd be happy to. If you want to take a week off just to like decompress, I totally understand. They just need you to encourage them in every way. And then I think like the power of social media with our leaders, like I write a very gushy public statement about each one of them on our Instagram when it's their birthday. Like I just go on and on. I post their picture and just as if I were writing them a card, but I make it very public and they like love it. They look forward to it. I still do handwritten cards.
Okay, boomer.
Waka waka. But they love it. I mean, I've had them text me like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like it was so fun to get your card in the mail.
Yeah, because what else do you get in the mail? Bills. That's it.
Right. Or ads or something boring, but nobody like in your mailbox is ready to like lavish compliments on you. I will text them individually and that kind of stuff. But, one of my goals, and this one is really hard to attain because of our size now, but like I cannot be done with program night until I've talked to every single one of them.
I remember you saying that.
But now it's just like, oh my gosh, like, so sometimes I have to think in my head, who did I talk to last week? And now who can I talk to this week? Because some people can just kind of wiggle out before you have a chance to talk to them. And then on the front end, they got there late, or you were tied up with a parent or something like that. And then the other, like, just this, one of the leaders I work with, I had never heard this phrase before, but surprise and delight. I don't know, but it was like this whole idea.
Silent but deadly.
Like, meaning like you go out of your way to make things special, you know, for them. So, and this comes in terms of like, I try to do celebrations with them, like quarterly, like fun things, where we either play games or go to a movie or go to an escape room or do some, and there's some kind of like surprise there, and like a gift, or, you know, something very personal on the gift. Like I made them these t-shirts last year. I don't want to go into everything it said, but it was personal for our ministry, and, you know, stuff like that. And I find it hard to actually even lead a Bible study in addition to leading this group, because they're where I put so much of my relational effort. You know, they're my group of adults that I'm like, I want you to know I'm your biggest fan. And that takes time and intentionality. Number 4, this one, I don't even know why I made it a point, because now that I'm fleshing all this out, it sounds like the same as everything, but relationship trumps everything. So the point that I just want to make with this is another bad habit some leaders get into is they'll just jet after program, and they just leave, and they want to get home, and they're tired, and they just want to clean up, turn off the lights, get all the kids home, and that's that. But some of our favorite times on a Tuesday night is after all the kids are gone, and it's just whatever leaders are left hanging out. And then all the craziness comes out, and we might play a game or dance, or, you know, we used to just turn on music, like 80s music, and just dance, just us, you know, just have so much fun, bring out the snacks, like have a really good time. And those were some of our best memories, you know, of just like, let's hang out. And that was us giving. The biggest thing you can give them is you. And by relationship trumps everything is like, what do they want? Yeah, they want to lead a small group. Yes, they want to lead, like on their application, they're going to write, I want to join this ministry so I can invest in youth and get them to know the Lord and pour into their spiritual development. Yes, that's what they want to do, but they want you, and they want that relationship with you, and that's the relationship currency.
With each other too, that community that you build with those leaders. Oh,
and they're such good friends, and the relationship, like you said, with each other or with us, that's the currency. You know, even if they're getting paid, you know, if you have a paid staff, but for our volunteers, like this is the currency that keeps them going. And I have leaders that have been on my staff. I have a very low turnover rate. My longest standing one is like, I think he's on his 13th or 14th year now. And everyone below that, you know, we have some 7 years, some 5 years. We have like people that stay around for a long time because, again, people are loyal to people, not places. But, you know, it's the currency you pay them with that keeps them connected and there for the long haul. And then last is equip them to succeed. So there's just certain things leaders need in order to do a really good job and to not get frustrated. And this is more like on an organizational level. So you need to be a very good communicator to your volunteers. They need to know exactly what's expected of them. They need to have, if you do like a talk sheet for your small groups, like the questions, they need to have those in advance so that they can prepare. And like my goal is Thursday for Tuesday program, you know, so it gives them, what is that, 5 days, making sure that they have.
So it's well in advance, not like the hour before.
Right. Scrambling, you know, and.
It's like doing this podcast. I don't know what I'm doing. I find out minutes before. And you guys can all tell. That's fine with me. I don't care.
Wow, you just got really salty. Where's the sugar?
She goes, I'm not a planner. I'm like, I'm a planner though. I'm a 3 on my Enneagram.
I'm a planner, but sometimes I just do better. I'm an extrovert.
What are we talking about today?
I think and speak simultaneously. I think you've got the quarantine blues. Because you're sassy.
You give them the Bible study and the questions and the prompts well in advance.
Yeah. And then if we're doing an event, they know exactly when it is and what they need to bring. And, so every Monday I send out my parent email and my leader email if I didn't already send them the questions on Thursday. So it's like, here's everything you need to know. And I give them dates of like from now until the next 8 weeks, 12 weeks, here's everything coming up. Here's what I need from you. Here's the deadline for this, blah, 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 making sure that they can do what I'm asking them to do. Because I always think if people fail, the first person we should look at is ourselves. I don't look at my team first. I look at myself first and say, what did I not give you that would have helped you to succeed? Because I take their failure to complete a task personally until there comes a point where you're like, all right, you're just,
it's always you.
Yeah. But I think initially, until there's a pattern, if your leaders are failing and not rising to the occasion, not delivering what you asked, not doing things on time, you've got to look at what is your style and what's not meshing first. Like I have this leader who he just does not check email ever. And so he'll be like, oh, thanks for telling me about the da-da-da coming up. I'm like, I did. I said, you've got to read your email. You have to. I said, that is the only way it can communicate, because a group text with all this is going to be so annoying. And then I can't go out of my way just to text you. So, there is this point where you have to meet in the middle, but giving them what they need. And then the last thing I want to say on that too is letting them know, leaders perform so much better when they know you have their back. Hell hath no fury like me when you've disrespected my small group leaders. If a 7th grade small group can get my leaders frustrated enough to where they're like, Kristen, I need to take a break tonight. I'm going to walk out. Those 7th graders better buckle up, because I do not let students disrespect my leaders at all. Because these are people who are not paid to be here, who are coming in with the best of intentions, who they want to pour the love of Christ into junior hires when they could be doing whatever they wanted, or home with their own kids if they have a family. And you had the audacity to disrespect them over and over and over and over and over and over again to their face, to the point where they were so frustrated they had to walk out of their small group, which happens. Oof. I have some words for those kids, and I might even have words for the parents depending on what level we get to, but I will never tolerate students disrespecting my leaders. We had a student flipping off one of my leaders once. He thought it was just so funny. And she was like, what the heck is happening? I pulled that kid into the office. I said, you don't ever disrespect my staff like that. They do not deserve that. I don't know what you were thinking, but I'm going to have to ask you to go home tonight, and you can try again another week, because I want my leaders to know that they always come first to me. Students are important, but they're going to be here today, gone tomorrow. I hope my leaders are here I hope we can hit 10 years, with all of them, unless they move or something, but just them choosing to step down, this just isn't the right place for me. We don't have that happen very often. And I want them to know, I will always back you up. So ride or die.
So that's 5. Rapid fire, go through them again just to recap.
Okay. Treat volunteers as paid staff, treat paid staff as future pastors, treat them as people first, employees second, be their number one fan. Remember that relationship trumps everything. Don't be in a hurry to get out of there, and equip them to succeed. Show them that you have their back.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. We will see you again next week.
Thanks for checking out this episode. We hope that it provided a ton of insight for you to create health in yourself, your ministry, and your church.
And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the Ministry Coach podcast wherever you're watching or listening. And it would mean so much to us if you would rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts.
And we'd also encourage you to share it with a friend so that it can go to help more people. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.